And this meeting is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. And now if we could have a moment of silence. And at this point in time, on behalf of council, staff, and the committee members, I would ask that at this moment of silence, we all keep Byron Morris's family in our thoughts as he passed Thursday, February 2nd. Val, we are all thinking of you. Thank you. Thank you. Adoption of agenda. Moved by, seconded by. So moved by Gerald Crabtree, seconded by Jeff Carroll, that the regular meeting of council agenda dated February 7th, 2023 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? Carried. This point in time, if anybody has disclosure of interest, now or any time during the meeting. Our minutes of previous meeting, January 17th, 2023. Moved by, seconded by. So moved by Gerald Crabtree, seconded by Jeff Carroll, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council, January 17th, 2023 be approved as amended. All in favor? Carried. Business arising from minutes of our previous meeting. Good. Okay. We have no delegations, no deputations. Report of municipal officers. Our first one is our clerk administrator, acting treasurer, Ali.
Thank you, Chair. This report is a report that comes after the elections, which happen every 4 years. Is to provide an update on the accessibility from the 2022 municipal elections and the requirements that we have under the Elections Act to accommodate electors and candidates with disabilities during the election period. So you will see that we were electronic voting, which was very accessible for all. We had a set up here in the office for the full week that it was open to assist if needed and to provide a laptop for somebody to utilize to vote. We didn't have any reported issues with accessibility as far as the voting methods, and there's no issues moving forward with the 2022 elections from an accessibility standpoint.
Okay. Good. So moved by Jeff Carroll, seconded by Gerald Crabtree, that council receive the accessibility in the 2022 municipal election report as information. All in favor? It's carried. Our next report is again from our clerk administrator, acting treasurer, on our deputy treasurer position.
Thank you, Chair. So as council will recall, back in December, council approved the deputy treasurer job description and pay scale. They appointed Councillor Kenny to the hiring committee along with, it was the public works manager and myself. We posted for deputy treasurer. We did receive 4 applications and 1 interest with treasurer only, no interest to be the deputy. We completed interviews by January 19, 2023. We did not find a successful applicant for the position. So we're presenting several options to council this evening to fill the position of treasurer that's been occupied by myself since May 6th of last year. So option 1 is to repost for a deputy treasurer. The pros and cons, obviously, so there's pros that it'd be closer to graduation time for post-secondary students. Although we did post in the post-secondary institutes, we did provide it to them previously as well. And cons may be that we don't receive any further applications and we'll be in the same position as currently. Option 2, we post for a treasurer. So that financial workload would be taken off the clerk administrator, allowing for the big picture focus that we've been still trying to work towards, but maybe has been put back a little bit. Then if the treasurer is away or leaves, you still have a succession plan or a backup of the clerk administrator, because they also have treasury experience, similar to what's happening right now. We do have 2 candidates who are interested actually in the position of treasurer, who have relevant experience and or education. Cons, we didn't budget for a full-time treasurer. Candidates may require additional time from the clerk administrator for training purposes. They don't come from municipal backgrounds. The current clerk administrator, acting treasurer, may need to continue to complete some of the financial duties until such time that they get comfortable, like asset management, year-end, those type of things. Option 3 is post for a deputy clerk or clerk. So this would this person would have the ability to assist other managers with other legislative documents and workloads that I think is needed, to be honest, in the township. We have one receptionist administrative assistant who does a great job, but is assistant to all managers. So CBO, planner, treasurer, public works, and the clerk, and the fire chief and water. So the clerk duties would be taken from the clerk administrator. So council would have a couple of options to an alternative contract, provide an alternative contract to the current clerk administrator to see if there's interest in becoming the clerk or the administrator treasurer, and or providing the current clerk administrator / acting treasurer notice of termination of that position and posting for an administrator treasurer. So budget funds are available for a deputy clerk. We don't have a deputy clerk job description, but it would score similar to a deputy treasurer or less normally. Cons set forth, the clerk administrator may not accept treasurer position, and or if you terminate the current clerk administrator, acting treasurer, and you post, you may not receive qualified candidates. If the administrator treasurer leaves, there's no succession plan for the treasurer. It's similar to most municipalities though, to be honest. Not normally do you have 2 treasurers on staff in a municipality this size. The clerk administrator, acting treasurer will have to prepare a job description and score the position, get council to approve it, and then post for the deputy clerk or clerk position, depending on how it goes. So for financial, there was an allocation of $88,300 for salary and benefits for a deputy treasurer position. Option 1, there would be no financial impact because we'd be reposting for deputy treasurer. Option 2, potentially would be a variance of $10,000 to $30,000 based on the change from a deputy to a treasurer. Keeping in mind that there's savings from January until the hiring because the clerk administrator has been filling that position currently. Option 3, it would, unknown at this time, but I would assume based on previous experience that it would come in on budget, be very similar, and it would just be the timing to get the job description, score, and get back to council. At earliest would be the February 21 meeting.
Questions? Comments?
I can start, I guess,
Yeah.
because it's tricky. I mean, it'd be nice, obviously, it would be easy if we would have been able to have a deputy treasurer right out of the gates. I guess, like, right now, it's hard to find treasurers. So is there an advantage to having a secondary treasurer, especially for our sort of long-term, I guess, goals? As far as paying for it in that first year, there could be some cost savings, and we probably could use that one-time funding tool as well, as it's for that sort of succession planning and growth planning to kind of offset as we go into the new year. So there is an advantage for sure for less bumps in the road as years go on. If heaven forbid Ally decides to go somewhere else, we would have. I mean, the treasurer role is the one that kind of keeps the township afloat. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm stuck for, like, I think the reposting is almost a fish dead in the water. I don't know if we're really going to get anything from there. You've already gone to the colleges to try to see if that was an option, and we didn't get any biters, and that would be the hope that we would get some biters from there. And then the other side is, do we have some succession planning where we could get somebody into the deputy clerk position, even internally? And then we could post and probably have pretty good luck for finding somebody else filling that other position.
Yeah, so it's always, we always post internally for all of the positions. So, and I think that this council has been very proactive in succession planning and working towards even like what we're doing with the septic program and all those things. And we had spoke about the RED grant and the funding that's potentially available for training for staff. So we are looking at applying for that as well. So yeah, there's absolutely the option for succession and that type of thing. And it may even start out, to be honest, as a deputy and work to a clerk position. And then the administrator would just be a deputy clerk in the event the clerk was away. From that perspective, I think that absolutely in a township this size, if you can have 2 treasurers, you're laughing, because a lot of the municipalities are looking for treasurers. In the same sense, I think that we have to be somewhat mindful that we do have a number of managers who are all pulling off one person at the front, and that they also somewhat need assistance in there, because we have a part-time CBO currently. We know that our bylaw enforcement officer is leaving us at the end of March. So there's potential for some changing of duties as far as internally and subcontracting out.
So to clarify though, were you looking at just an internal posting or internal and external? Just to clarify.
For the deputy clerk
Yeah.
position? I mean, like always, I'd love to be able to see how we could go internally first, and then go from there. That would be, and I think, ideal for myself. And I guess, and as we sort of talk about that, I mean, one of the cons is the current clerk administrator may not accept the treasurer position and or posted, you may not receive qualified candidates. So like the hard part is like, not to put Ali on the spot, but if we were to look at that deputy clerk position, and we go with that, you know, will that con come true where that position wouldn't be accepted by yourself? Not to put you on the spot, but I guess that's the cons in there.
Yeah, so I think that from my perspective, going down to 2 titles instead of 3, whatever ones they would be, I would be happy to accept in Montague. I'm happy here. I like my job. So I think that from my perspective, to be honest, I like finance better than clerking, but ultimately it's council's decision.
Yeah, and if I can continue, I mean, it is council's position, but I mean, part of building a team too, as well as recognizing where your assets are, and also trying to work around them. And, I mean, not trying to put a square peg into a round hole. So I mean, I for myself, I appreciate that side of it, saying where your preferences lie to as well, and then where we can then possibly fill a void. It might be in the right cost side of things, and then the right thing for our growth internally is if we look at that deputy clerk position and see if we can first fill it internally, and if not, then we can also go externally too as well. That would be maybe the route that I would think would make the most amount of sense, but I'm obviously open. Yeah.
So if I can, it's difficult for me just because I'm currently in the clerk administrator position, as far as that goes, but my recommendation, it's always great to have a succession plan with a treasurer. My recommendation though is that, like I said, most municipalities of this size don't have 2. You have 1 in that type of thing. I think for us and the growth and where this council wants to go, and us taking on some of the bigger projects and looking at big picture items and long-term planning, I think that we would be beneficial with having the deputy clerk side to also assist other managers from not doing administrative more administrative paperwork duties. As far as the treasury side goes, I can still, administrator and treasurer together would not be overwhelming. So from that perspective, to be honest, I think option 3 would be my recommendation. If I was removed completely, obviously it is great to have a second treasurer and have people who are interested when other municipalities are looking. And that's where I'm leaving it open to council in that sense of, you know, I understand the succession planning side of things. I think Montague, though, moving forward, even in the event that at some point, if the current clerk administrator left, or administrator treasurer left, I think being a smaller municipality, I think you would still attract people looking to get into municipal government, because it's a good one to really start out in.
I'll follow up from Jeff. So with reference to the posting internally for deputy clerk that is being suggested, we don't have to run it for a lengthy period for an internal, which is also going to make it beneficial to see if there is anybody internally that has an interest. And then I think if council gives direction to say that at the end of the posting, if there is no interest, at that point we direct Ally to post for a deputy clerk. I think that would work.
So my only thing right now is that I still have to develop the job description, score it, and get council to approve it. Hopefully I can get that back by the 21st to get it moving, if that's what council's direction is. And as the Reeve has stated, yeah, we can post internally for 5 days. And if there's no interest internally, then we post externally after the 5 days.
Yep.
And as part of our succession planning too as well, we can continue to look at how we can do some more training on the treasury role too, right? To fill more of those voids, I guess, to keep things going. If there was a lapse there, like we're not going to be able to train somebody who's a full treasury role to do all of the budgeting and all of that, but at least get it so like the certain day-to-day operations are kind of taken care of.
Yep, so if I get to drop like clerk, I do have SOPs kind of on that. Honestly, if I was away, you could grab and do payroll, right? Like somebody could get through payroll to get it done in the event that the treasurer was away. So I think in that perspective, if you have those SOPs that are really good for those day-to-day items, you can get somebody in to complete them. Or somebody internally can grab it and complete it. Yeah.
I think it's great that we're able to do this, able to assist the rest of the staff and put you in a position where you're happy as well. Like you've done a...
But you got 3 titles, like, you know, there's got to be at some point.
So at some points you have to give up some of those roles and let other people work too. But no, I think it's great that, you know, you'll be able, because your finance background, like you did an amazing job. Like you were getting accommodations from other people looking at it and saying it was clean and crisp and well itemized. And so I think that this is probably as Jeff said, the best decision. And if internally we can give somebody else an opportunity for growth and movement and then fill those shoes, that'd be great.
So I guess we have a bit of a decision. I guess we have a decision there as far as let's post internally for a deputy clerk position, and after 5 days, if we do not have, well, I guess we have to do the job scoring, the job title, the job scoring first. We'll bring that back on the 21st if that's plausible, and then we can start the posting and recruiting stage at that point.
Yeah. So the only thing I'll ask, if we can just go ahead and get, is who appoint a member of council to the hiring committee. If somebody's interested, if we want to keep it as Councillor Kenny, because she was on the original one, that's fine as well. Just so then, if we're going to get the job description, everything ready, just so somebody's aware, so I can kind of set out a timeline and plan, because it would be nice to get the position filled sooner than later.
Since she's not here to object, I'm fine with Councillor Kenny staying on.
If she has objections, she can state it at the next meeting, but.
Yes, of course, yeah, because we have time after that
Or,
anyway, so.
yeah.
Because it will be next meeting anyways, so we would do
Yes.
it anyway,
Yeah,
so
I was gonna
that's
say, or we
fine.
could appoint a second person if she wasn't available.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So we can confirm that with her on the 21st when
Yeah.
the job description comes forward. And just make sure because maybe she's not interested in staying on, but if she is, then we have no issues.
If not, we can discuss it that week.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Option 3.
Yep,
Option 3, yeah.
and then, so moved by and seconded by, so moved by Jeff Carroll,
Just go back and forth.
seconded by Crabtree. Well, I'm just making sure you guys are on board here. That council direct the clerk administrator to move forward with option 3, internal posting.
Sure, you can put that on there, yeah.
And that council appoint
Councilor Kenny.
Councillor Kenny to the hiring committee. All in favor? And carried. And our next report is from our clerk administrator, acting treasurer again, on the Smith Falls Hospital request.
Thank you, Chair. So at our last meeting, which seems like forever ago because we had five Tuesdays in January. So we had the Smith Falls and Perth District Hospital CEO, Mr. Cohen, present the ask for the hospitals for the 2023 year from Montague Township. There was a number of follow-up questions or information that was requested from council. Mr. Cohen had noted that if council, in an email, had noted if council has further questions to follow up with him directly. So I did do some investigating on, I know with Renfrew County anyways, one of our neighboring counties, that none of the lower tiers or the county provide any kind of funding to the local hospitals for capital core campaigns. They do provide, I think there's 4 municipalities that provide funding for doctor recruitment for their area. They had a 10-year doctor recruitment plan that they had put in place, but that is it from that level. So in Lanark County, based on 2021 information that was provided from the county, Drummond North Elmsley provided, I believe it was just over $10,000 towards the Smith Falls and Perth ask. Tay Valley actually has a separate line item on their tax bill, similar to some municipalities have for policing, so you can see the amount that's going towards it for the hospital. And Perth and Smith Falls both provided funding. They house each one of the hospitals. So Lanark Highlands, Montague, Mississippi Mills, Carlton Place, and Beckwith did not provide funding in 2021 based on the document that was provided from the county. So we provided kind of some financial options for council consideration. Our 2023 budget has been completed, but we still have options. So it won't be from tax levy, and keeping in mind that Mr. Cohen did request for a 10-year commitment of $34,598 each year, $34,598. So option 1 is do not provide financial funding in 2023. Option 2, provide funding from the modernization, the one-time funding obligatory reserve that currently has a balance of about $258,000. The modernization reserve balances were earmarked for the new municipal complex for fire and public works, but it's ultimately up to council what we utilize these for. Option 3, wait until the 2022 year-end financials are completed and potentially use surplus money to put towards the 2023 request of the $35,000 and have a further discussion for 2024 and on.
So I'll open it up for discussion.
I'll take this one. I'm gonna go with personally option 1. The reason being, everybody's already taken a big hit on the job for everything that's going on financially. The tax rates are going up. We still don't know what our current tax rate will be yet. Cost of living is going up. It's just, there's so much going on to make this sort of commitment or any sort of commitment to give up 35,000. Like it's from one or the other. We're trying to make Montague grow right now. We're talking about building the new fire hall. there's already a cost. I just don't think right now is the time. If we want to revisit it next year and see where we're sitting, that might be an option. But I'd say at this time, after talking to individuals who are involved in the hospitals, it would be a bad decision. There's things that people aren't able to see, and there's more that they could do on their own, where they could get investments. By all means, if they want to do a Chio dream home themselves and actually put in the work, put in the time, the effort, I'm sure there's a lot of people in Montague that do have the money that would love to buy a ticket. But to just say that, every household $200, no. That's my opinion, and that's where I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah, that's fair. I've talked about this for the last couple of years where, and my biggest question was, where is this being done across the province? And Ali did some good legwork, even just for our neighboring community. It's not being done. And I've always said it's a slippery slope for, we're basically saying, please download to us. And I know this is not the same because it's not for the infrastructure, it's for the things that the units to buy. But it's still it's a very slippery slope, and I don't feel like we should be the precedents as far as that setting. And that's same as me. And on that note, our hospitals are underfunded. There's definitely a problem and a need there. That, like I've always stated since we've started this process, is that we should be pushing from down here up, saying fix the problem. So I think that's where the bigger, stronger part is. So anyways, that's where I leave it to as well, at option 1 and 2 as well.
If I can, just thank you, Chair. So just following up on Deputy Carroll. So the province is actually, they have a survey out right now based on their budget for 2023. And a lot of the questions that are asked are in relation to where do you think there should be funding and hospitals and things like that. So I think I'll actually maybe get Grace to post it up on our social as well for people to respond and do the questionnaire. So that people can really put an emphasis on where do you think the province should be directing some funds as far as that goes, and that may be beneficial from our side of things, that maybe in 2023 that's what we can do to try and help the hospitals in that type of way as well.
And just to follow up on that, yeah, because that's great. I think that's good because we're already seeing the big discussion between the province and the feds to change the transfer funding and to change that. So we want to make sure that we fill out those surveys and we let them know what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. So when those transfer payments are coming, it's being lined out in the right places. So that's a great point. So yeah, thanks.
So I'm also in option 1. I have in the past questioned what the foundation themselves were doing on fundraising versus just coming and saying, can you add it as another tax? Because I don't want it coming down from the province saying you're now going to fund it. Our own municipality, we are so geographically spread that we have residents in the area that use Kemptville, that they use Carleton Place, they use Perth, they use Smith Falls, they use Ottawa, that for us to make a donation to one specific hospital, as much as that is close, it's just not what the taxpayer, I think, wants. The people that have reached out to me, that's not what they want, and that's why we were elected, was to represent them. It's the hospitals have to be funded by the province. It is every person that travels through this area, if they require the medical, they're there. They're not paying for it. And when you look at some of the other hospitals, the taxes from those municipalities aren't going to fund it either. There are fundraising options happening, and hospitals are important, but we can't be responsible for funding for the capital needs. So I think we've got consensus. It's option 1. So moved by Gerald Crabtree, seconded by Jeff Carroll, that council approve option 1 and that council direct staff to notify the CEO of the Smith Falls Perth Hospital. All in favor? Carried. Next is our reports of committees. Committee of the Whole, January 17th, 2023 minutes. So moved by Jeff Carroll, seconded by Gerald Crabtree. That council approve the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting of January 17th, 2023 and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? Carried. Any discussion? Okay. Our second report of committee is our Montague Recreation Culture Committee meeting, January 5th, 2023 minutes. So moved by Gerald Crabtree, seconded by Jeff Carroll. That council approve the minutes of the Montague Recreation Culture Committee meeting of January 5th, 2023, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? It's carried. Petitions, bylaws. Bylaw number 3959, 2023, council and local board remuneration. Sorry?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to speak to that one. That's just section 8 to the change in that from the last meeting to state that board members will be paid monthly rather than annually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moved by Jeff Carroll, seconded by Gerald Crabtree. That bylaw 3959, 2023, being a bylaw to establish remuneration and expenses for members of council and local boards, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of February 2023. All in favor? That's carried. Next is bylaw 3960, 2023, gift development agreement. Moved by Jeff Carroll, seconded by Gerald Crabtree. That bylaw 3960, 2023, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a development agreement with Dale Emerson Giff, the owner of lands legally described as part of Lot 21, Concession 3, Township of Montague, County of Lanark, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of February 2023. All in favor? That's carried.
I just want to, I guess, one thing on that real quick.
Yeah.
You know, thanks Kirsten for her work on that one. This was a bit of a tricky one, I think, with all of the questions that came up from, because there was a barn that was close, and I think I like to highlight these because sometimes I wonder if things are made more difficult for people than need to be. When you have a empty barn that was an adjacent property that might have been too close from, to a well, and that might have had a problem with the well. So I like to highlight those because sometimes I question on how much we scrutinize those. So, but thank you for the work on it to get it done for it too, as well, for that resident.
Okay. And then bylaw 3961, 2023, revised Jackson Homes development agreement. Moved by Jeff Carroll, seconded by Gerald Crabtree. That bylaw 3961, 2023, being a bylaw to execute the being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an amended development agreement with Jackson Homes Inc., the owner of lands legally described as part of Lot 30, Concession 10, Township of Montague, County of Lanark, designated at Parts 1 and 2 on Plan 27R 11996, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of February 2023. All in favor? That's carried. Do I have something that moves those forward?
Oh, that should have been in the opening. So we'll do one. Items.
Yeah, items 8A, B, and C being moved from information to action items. So moved by Gerald Crabtree, seconded by Jeff Carroll. That council approve items 8A, B, and C move from information to action items. All in favor? And that's carried. So we have no motion, notice of motion, and under correspondence, A, Andrewsville Bridge Heritage Impact Assessment Report.
Okay, so this is a doozy that's really come up now, and it's going to come up at the county, and we obviously want to talk about it here at the township. And this is about Andrewsville Bridge. I think we're all familiar of Andrewsville Bridge in our township and where it stands right now. So right now, they've done this assessment that comes back and says that the bridge is pretty well at the end of its life. And they've had this engineering company take a look at it, and their recommendation was to close the bridge and make it a walking bridge at the cost of $50,000, which is the cost, which is the lowest option as far as that's out there out of the four options. The other three options were to dismantle the bridge entirely, which was around $500,000, to take down the bridge and reconstruct the bridge and fix the retaining wall, which was a $2 million option, and the last, which is a $4 million option, was once again taking down the bridge, fixing the retaining wall, and putting a new bridge up. The retaining wall part of it would be needed for both any type of reconstruction of a bridge, and that part of that cost is a big chunk of that either $2 or $4 million cost. It's about $600,000. The assessment was more on just saying, like, what's the best cost option? Overall, I think we have an agreement with people on council, the people in the public obviously thinking that closing that bridge does not bode well for our growth and for the actual transportation side of it. Once again, we all know there's a 2-lane bridge in Merrickville. Now they try to say there's 3 bridges that go across there. I say 2 because it's a 2-lane bridge and 2 singular bridges. 2 singular bridges to me is 1 bridge. And to have that bridge closed and to have it only for a singular bridge and a 2-lane bridge on both sides in an area which is considered a settlement area for us. It's a growth area for us. When we backtrack and we look what we did at Richardson Side Road, we had discussions of what we were doing for that culvert, and were we going to make sure that it was, we made the decision of the cement culvert and making sure that it was wide enough, and they had the guardrails up there, because we don't know what the next 15, 25, 30, 40 years could look like. And like, talking with Steve too as well, who knows, in 25 years we could be paving Richardson Road because there could be development there. We don't know. But to close a door doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think a lot of the discussion that has happened over the years at the county has been very emotional, as far as we don't want to close the Andrewsville Bridge, and the Friends of Andrewsville have done a very good job at saying, keep our bridge open. The side of it is, that's what's talked about a lot of. We have to kind of drive home a point that this is important for Montague for its moving of traffic. It's a settlement area. It's part of the growth. And on the other side of the bridge too, as well, with the Leeds County is, and the Merrickville County, and the Merrickville's council are interested, as far as I understand too, as well, of keeping it open, because they see the flow back and forth and what that could potential. There is an argument that it only sees about 200 cars a day. Those traffic counts were done in the summertime and not necessarily over a long period of time. So there's a good strong argument that it could be a lot more traffic that could be used there. On the same token, if you were to try to Google Maps and you wanted to use that, it won't allow you to go down that bridge. So once it's open, it's going to open up the opportunity for people then to look at that and to go across that bridge. And I think you would see a lot more activity. One of the examples at the county that was just passed is, if people aren't aware, it's called the Blakeney Bridge. And that was recommended to be a 1.5 lane bridge. But their council in Mississippi Mills was very adamant that this was going to be a growth opportunity, and it should be a wider bridge to prepare for that. Right now, that bridge sees about 400 cars a day, so it's not a heavy bridge. And there is a potential that it could see more as years go on. So I don't really see a big difference between the Blakeney Bridge and our Andrewsville Bridge when we're seeing about 200 cars a day on a seasoned, when it was shut down to a seasoned bridge. So really what I'm looking for is a little bit of discussion, but also so we can make sure that we're passing a motion that Reeve Jennings and I can bring to the county as far as our discussion points with basically the people there that also make that decision to say, this is important for Montague, just like the Blakeney Bridge was important for Mississippi Mills to make sure that that is what they needed. This is important for Montague and also on the other side of the bridge to Merrickville, that it needs to also stay open and stay open all year round. The other side of it too as well is whatever the costing of that bridge is, it's not entire up to Lanark County, it's paid 50-50. So that $2 million option also, if which I'm in favor of, is a reconstruction of the bridge, and it makes it last for 25 years. $1 million would be on the hook for Lanark County. So I think that's a reasonable side for bridge replacement. Now there is the group from Endersville that have also put together some very good data about the traffic that also is utilized in that, where if you're using it as a drive around and the extra CO2s and the extra gas is being used over the offset of many years, there could be a potential that you're not really saving a lot because you're adding more pollutants into the air, and you're driving and you're adding more driving to people there that are around there. So I think that's a very good perspective. And also I think they've brought forth some interesting cost analysis for different bridge options that could be a new bridge. That I think that should be explored as we're going through that process at the county too as well, to look at either a rehabilitation of that bridge or looking at other cost options that might be less than the $4 million for a new bridge. But keeping in mind, keeping it as a singular lane bridge, because making a dual lane bridge doesn't make a lot of sense, as the bridge on the other side, which is owned by Parks Canada, is a single lane bridge too as well. So thank you for listening to my long-winded sort of talk about that, but I think I've kind of crossed everything I would have to talk about. It. If I missed anything, Reeve Jennings, please.
Nope, you've got all the points.
Feel free to get
Yeah.
me in here. And I'm hoping that we can basically pass that and agree on that, and then we can get a resolution for next meeting so that we can pass that resolution for next meeting with hopefully all of our council members to start that convincing side of the importance of that at the Lanark County meeting.
So I do know that the mayor of Merrickville Wolford did submit a letter to the United Counties of Leeds Grenville month and a half ago of the support for the bridge to remain open to vehicular traffic. So that I do know.
Perfect.
Okay, so if I may, just to, I kind of drafted a bit of a motion based on what Deputy Carroll had said. So that the council provide the Reeve and Deputy Reeve along with staff to prepare a letter to be forwarded to the counties of Lanark and Leeds and Grenville to support the Andrewsville Bridge remaining open to vehicle traffic all year, with the letter being provided to Montague Council for information. The only reason I'm saying that is that it may be beneficial just because the two of you sit on county council to potentially come up with a really strong letter with some facts. And then if we have to bring it back to council, we may miss some information just because of the time you have to get it out to council and whatever. So if council's good with, we only have one member of council that's not in this motion, but if they're fine with us working together to come up with a letter to send off, it may be just a quicker approach for us, but it's up to council.
Yeah, and I'll loop Gerald on that, because I mean, like, we are your county representatives.
I was actually talking to Karen about this. A strongly worded letter with any type of evidence, facts, anything that you can put towards it. We did talk about EMS. If emergency response says, hey, this is a savings, it can save time, it can save a life, any of that. If you can have anything that's documented to put it as evidence, so you can say, hey, here's the pollutants, here's the emergency response, and everything we can include, you have a stronger case. I think it's great for development. I think it's great to have it. I think it's great that, like, again, it's costing all of county. It's not costing just our taxpayers. So just so if anybody's watching or in the room doesn't completely get it, the $2 million, the $1 million is not necessarily coming right out of you. It's coming out of the county as a whole. So it could be a great thing and benefit a lot of people in the future. But we have to sell it. We have to be salesmen and make sure that the documentation that we give them sells it, because like, you know, if you just say it's 9.1 kilometers from end to end, it doesn't sound like much. So, but if you can say, hey, that's 9.5 minutes, or which is the difference between, you know, you guys know I'm more or less saying it for other people out there. So I support it 100%. The more stuff we can put in a nice worded letter would definitely help.
So as much as the bridge would still remain with the weight restriction,
Correct.
it doesn't permit fire trucks, but it does permit the ambulance to come across. It does permit the firefighters responding to calls, because a lot of them do it by their vehicle, as Jeff had mentioned earlier. And so those are the things that's the important part, is that there are other users of this bridge that make it so beneficial as well.
Absolutely.
And it is noted in our official plan as a designated development area. So we don't want to stop something, the same as Mississippi Mills doesn't want to stop what their development's going to do for the future. And that's what we're arguing for. Okay.
Is there anything else that now, I mean, I would, any sort of supporting information that the staff can also give us to as well, would be helpful as far, especially with it being in our official plan and all that, would also be greatly helpful too as well.
Yeah, so staff has already started, our junior planner has
I'm
already
sure you have,
provided
yes.
great documents for it. So that's where I'm staying. I'm not trying to take anything away from it coming back to council. If the letter's prepared to come back to the next meeting, by all means, in the time frame to meet the agenda. If that's what council wants to do, I believe that the committee is meeting on February 22nd at the county.
That's correct.
So we have to get it to them in time to meet their agenda requirements. And that's where I'm saying, if council this evening can approve for the Reeve Deputy Reeve along with myself and staff, prepare a letter to forward along to the two counties, we won't miss our boat.
Council approves.
Yeah.
Big shoulders today.
I mean, Reeve Jennings and I will do our best to really emphasize the point. I mean, we believe that this should be done, and we have a strong case that basically states for our needs, not our wants, our needs.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest change that we want to talk about. We're changing the narrative of the want of the bridge to the actual need of the bridge, and that's the most important part. So I think that'll.
And that's where I'm just saying, the more documentation, if we can reach out to EMS and even one person says, hey, this could be the difference. And that's why whatever we can get, that'd be great.
Yeah. It's a different council there too, right? So I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to the council members around that horseshoe to decide if they want to continue on with what it is. So I mean, we're hoping that we're going to have very open ears from the fellow council members that are around at the county, and that they're open for understanding the importance of it to our township and also to Marrickville too as well, because they see an importance to it too as well. That's how we Petersley writes down.
Take the glasses off to say it.
Well, I guess on that, yeah, because on that, one of those notes too, as well, is that I had asked one of the public works at the county, and as far as that study goes, growth was not considered whatsoever, and settlement areas, none of that, the OP stuff was not considered in that study. It was just strictly on the environmental assessment of that bridge. So there's a lot of information that was not utilized in the decision making of the recommendation from the engineering firm.
So moved by Gerald Crabtree. Seconded by Jeff Carroll. That council provide the Reeve and Deputy Reeve along with staff to prepare a letter to be sent to the counties of Lanark and Leeds and Grenville to support the Andrewsville Bridge remaining open to vehicle traffic all year, with a letter being provided to Montague Council for information. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. So the next one is Wear Red Canada. And so I had received a request for us to add this to our agenda, and it deals with women's heart health and how it's misdiagnosed because of the fact that the symptoms that women have for heart attack is not the same as what men have. And so therefore I was asked if I would bring it forward and bring it through with both video to be put online, and I have that drafted up, as well as bring forward I'm going to say a proclamation, but I'm not sure that's the right thing, but we're doing resolution. So what I have is moved by Gerald Crabtree, seconded by Jeff Carroll. Whereas heart disease is the #1 killer of women worldwide and the leading cause of premature death for Canadian women, a fact known to many women and their healthcare providers. And whereas the Canadian Women's Heart Health Alliance is an organization of volunteer health professionals and patients working hard to improve women's heart. And whereas Wear Red Canada Day is celebrated annually to raise awareness for all Canadians, but especially Canadian women, to be mindful, curious, and proactive in the management of their heart health and wellness. And whereas we want to see better prevention, diagnosis, and care, and fewer women dying prematurely from heart disease. Therefore, the Township of Montague do hereby proclaim February 13th, 2023, Wear Red Canada Day. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you for that. And next we have Lanark Highlands Violence Against Women. That was brought by Jeff.
I brought it up. I mean, Lanark Highlands was great to obviously jump on board just like us and all the municipalities in Lanark County. But I think it's one of those things where every time I see it on the agenda, I want to bring it back up again because we have to continue to talk about it. I read something again today of somebody that was arrested and charged with abuse and voyeurism and along in a family situation that was in I think in Rupert County. It's still happening, obviously, in our communities, and we have to continue to talk about that type of violence to eventually, hopefully, extinguish it entirely.
Okay. So we have no unfinished business or other business, so I'll ask if there's any questions from the audience. Maggie?
I have a question on the Andrewsville Bridge. The cost that you're talking about, Lanark pays half.
Mhm.
How many ways is the other half divided? It's not just us.
So it's Lanark County as a county and the United Counties of Leeds Grenville. So that side of the river, their county will pay for half and our county pays for half.
Does Parks Canada not pay for any of it?
So according to the information, because the causeway is not Parks Canada, they don't have to contribute.
This is almost like the same argument as Confederation Bridge in Smith Falls, where that question's come up where why does Parks Canada not have any interest in it whatsoever, and they are not. So it's the same thing.
On the same lines, the Blakeney Bridge.
Yeah.
That's been put off for what, 2 years?
2024, isn't it?
Yeah, like there's more.
What do you mean put off?
They came up with some, I don't know what the reasoning was in the paper, that they were not going to do anything to it till either 2024 or 2025. I think it has something to do with heritage.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
The heritage did get discussed, but we are still moving forward with part of the work in 2024.
Oh, so that doesn't free up that money for 2 years that can be used
No,
for
No.
Andrews? Okay.
council's already approved for that money to be earmarked.
Yeah, for this year, they're gonna do the planning of it. They just didn't feel like they could get it all done in 1 year now. So they've done the planning and all that kind of stuff and blah, 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 blah to
Yeah.
buy stuff. And then next year, they're gonna put the actual bridge in.
But the heritage stuff is not gonna delay even the planning?
As far as so far it's been approved, so the answer would be no on that. Yeah.
And I just have one more I'd like to ask for a correction in the minutes of January 17th. We don't have a Reeve Bill Jennings.
We did have that
Oh,
correction done
that's,
earlier.
we approved the minutes as
Great.
amended.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was,
Like that.
it was a hybrid of the Reeves. Yeah, that's why we approved the minutes as
I looked
amended.
at it like 3 times, like,
Yeah.
it's you.
Tom?
On behalf of Montague Seniors and District Club, I'd like to thank the council for the donation for this year. Thank you very much.
And Grace, do we have any questions from the audience? No?
None.
Nothing? Okay. Glasses back on. So moved by Gerald Crabtree. Seconded by Jeff Carroll. That bylaw 3962-2023, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on Tuesday, February 7th, 2023, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this 7th day of February 2023. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, moved by Jeff Carroll.
They're safe. They're safe there. Put them where they're safe.
And surprise, surprise, I did notice it.
She did.
I did not notice the wall color. I did not notice this new sign posted at Rosedale Hall, but I did notice that.
A new sign.
Where's the vinyl?
The board, you know, where you
Oh,
put
the board.
the, yeah, I didn't notice that. I walked right in and missed it.
Like something, it'll look not.
Are you
so
doing
cheap.
it at Richmond Design? And
Yeah,
Howling.
Howling? You're doing Howling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I asked them about vinyl and they're like, do you want a price for
They
3D?
have some really cool, yeah.
So they're gonna give me 3D price embarrassing.
No, we have to get a registration form for the chili cook-off for council to put chili in too.
That's all through KT. Recreation at township.money, that's it.
Yeah,
That's right, you two are putting that in.
you heard that, us too, because he's on the rec committee, he's against us.
She's making me.
Well,
Mine doesn't count.
we're gonna be with us too.
Mine's not part of the competition.
Yeah,
Mine's just
No, yours is,
food.
yeah.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Ours, just food.
I laughed when she thought I was gonna win.
I have the Montague grown pork and beef to go in it, so it's good. So the Carroll Farm grown.
You're almost like right on the border. You're pretty close to the border, eh?
Of Drummond?
Where? Yeah.
Carroll Road is the.
Yeah, that's what I mean, so if your animal gets across.
I was just gonna say, our animals don't cross the road,
Well,
do they? That's the chickens.
they do eat hay from across the road. That's what the hay comes from. So
You're like,
I'm in Montague.
I know.
Just the chickens cross the road then.
Just the chicken guy.
We're almost there.
It's all good. I got lost time in my mind.
I don't think this one's gonna get out.
You just say them, yeah.
Can I pick up my daughter at dance at 8 o'clock? That was a big question. So
Sure, we can.
to save my wife the trip. So.
Yeah, I think you will.
So.
This one looks like a good one.
The next,
Just
the next
apologize for the
Okay, put me in
deputy.
or what? Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
apologize for the deputy Reeve talking so much that Grace's laptop died.
Usually it's my fault. I mean, I go late.
I just
So
said that.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Usually it's my fault. So I know.
it's okay being a talker.
At least people understand why you're voting a certain way.
We're good now.
Are we live?
Yeah.
We're good.
We're live. Hey, we're live. Welcome back, folks. We had a technical difficulty, but that was quickly resolved by Grace, so thank you very much. So we will open the meeting, and we open the meeting with the land acknowledgement. So the council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that the sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held in the ancestral land and unceded territory of the Algonquin and the Schwabi Nation. So we will start out with the adoption of the agenda. So moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the committee of the whole agenda dated February 7th, 2023 be approved. All in favor? Thank you. I like how you put the names for me. I really appreciate that. You probably couldn't read them last time I wrote them.
Karen, I'm sorry.
So it's
I don't have a favorite.
she just knows she couldn't read my writing, so she put it out for me, that's why, so let's be honest. So the first thing we have is the Chief Building Officer's fourth quarter report. Is anybody gonna speak on that first, or do we just wanna go through them? I'll just go through them. Okay, so moved by Reeve Jennings, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council accepts the fourth quarter building report as information. All in favor? Very good. Pretty good building amount for last year, right? We finished at 27 new homes and lots of people building garages, which I think is, and sheds, which I think is fantastic, so. The next one is moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Reeve Jennings that the council accepts the fourth quarter water report as information. All in favor? That's carried. Our next one is moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the council accepts the fourth quarter fire report as information. All in favor? That's carried as well. Our next one is our fourth quarter planning report. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Reeve Jennings that the council accepts the fourth quarter planning report as information. All in favor? Person want to talk about it at all? Or if the answer is no, sounds good. We'll move on. Everything is great there, so keep up the good work. The next part is the Public Works Manager's fourth quarter Public Works update. Would Steve like to comment on that, or is the reading we're happy with?
Any questions? Yeah, happy to answer.
That is a nice answer. Lots of great things going on as far as the Public Works goes, so that's great to hear. And I hear Steve's also got a lot of our contracts out there too as well, so that's great. So if there's no questions for Steve, I guess he has it off easy. So moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the council accepts the fourth quarter Public Works report as information. All in favor? Perfect. Steve, did you want to say something about it all, or now that you're up there?
Ready to go.
He's ready for the next one.
So you're ready for the next one? Look at you, man. So I'm gonna lead into the next one for the recycling transition producer responsibility update, and take it away, Steve.
All right, thank you, Chair. So this report before you is on recycling transition from producer to fully producer responsibility. So currently it's 50-50 right now. And as of July 1st, it's going to 100% producer responsibility. This was supposed to be completed in January of this year, but as with many things, it's been some delays, and now we're anticipating no more hiccups, and we are scheduled for July 1st. Right now, we do have where our material will be going, so that's been determined. Who's going to be collecting it has still not been determined. They've let us know that they're in the final stages of figuring this out, and hopefully in the near future we'll know who that's going to be. Throughout all of our webinars and everything, they've made it very known that there's going to be no service interruptions. So whatever our current service level is, that's what they're going to maintain. So the residents of Montague can be assured that there's really going to be not any changes that they're going to notice. The biggest change for ratepayers is going to be the savings when it comes to recycling. So that budget line obviously won't be there next year, so it'll free up some money for sure. And that's about it. The other big change, which doesn't affect Montague too much, is they're removing ICI collection from this as part of this transition. So we currently have recycling through Mterra for the municipal building, and Forget Me Not. They are, unfortunately, I believe, will be one of our only ones that won't qualify for recycling pickup moving forward. So moving forward from that point, it's up to those properties, so the municipality ourselves, to come to an agreement with the collection if we'd like to continue recycling. Some places like Carleton Place, for example, they have an entire BIA area that they're now going to have to deal with how they're going to handle that pickup. So it's we're in pretty good shape, and the report's here for information. If there's any questions on it, I'd be happy to answer.
Following up, any questions at all from council? Or I would say one thing as far as I mean, I guess we're fortunate or unfortunate, depends how you look at it, that we don't have to worry about a lot of different people with that recycling side of it. But for our Forget Me Not Club, as we're looking at it for our own needs, to keep them maybe in the loop, to see how we might be able to support that too as well, as whatever we're doing, to see if we can support them too as well. It might be a benefit. So.
Yeah, so I think that will be something, once we actually figure out who's going to be doing the collection, agreements can be entered into, and something like that will definitely go back to council to have their recommendation on what we'll do moving forward.
Perfect. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions, we'll say moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Reeve Jennings that council received this report on recycling transition to producer responsibility dated February 7th, 2023 as information. All in favor? The next one is the staff overtime reports. Any comments on that, Ali, at all, or we're pretty
No.
good?
We're in good financial shape. You'll see that it seems to be almost like every 2 years with everything, to be honest. If you look at all the fourth quarter reports, like every second year we have almost double the fire calls. Every second year Public Works seems to have additional overtime based on the winter, those type of things. So 2022 was a little higher for Public Works OT. But admin was down substantially. It was about a third, and even being short-staffed, I think that says a lot for everybody. So there's no concerns as far as budget-wise goes. We're in really good shape, which you'll see in the next budget, next item.
That's great. Any questions at all, or No questions? I think that's great. I mean, I think it's good to know that we have a very responsible management group that is watching that bottom line, so I think they should be commended for that too as well.
Just one thing too, though, definitely the fact that with the storms we've had, it's good that we have the extra bodies to assist our public works crew, because those long hours, I'm sure, have been hard on them, the same as they're for all the snowplow operators out there in the county. But thank you to Steve, your crew, and all our extras that have stepped up. It's fabulous, so thank you.
Yes, for sure.
We're very fortunate. Yeah.
We are. So moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Reeve Jennings, that the council receives the 2022 fourth quarter report on staff overtime as information. All in favor? So the next one is the budgetary control report. Ali, you wanna take it away?
Thank you, Chair. So I'll just make some comments on this, that this is not my year-end final budgetary control. I still have adjusting entries to do and all those types of things. But you will see from this budget that we're sitting in a really good financial position. We're expecting to have a surplus. We've had savings in various spots throughout the budget. So there's no concerns as far as staff have in relation to the budget. I just wanted to make note that this is not our final numbers. I still have adjusting entries and all those good things to do with year end. But as far as, I think that the report kind of highlighted any areas that maybe were a little over or a little under in certain areas. But overall, we're in a good financial position at the end of 2022.
Any questions from council? One quick question, Ali. So do we have our audit scheduled?
So we've had the interim. We're to have our final in April, potentially more closer to the end of March.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
it'll be sooner than last year just because transition of staff. But yes, so we will have that completed, and then once it's completed, obviously we'll have the auditors come and present.
Perfect. So moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, the council receives the budgetary control report as at December 31st, 2022, as information. All in favor? That's carried as well. So at this point, we have no reports of committees, no petitions, no motions or notice motions or unfinished business. And do we have any burning questions from the audience or online? No burning questions. No burning questions. That was pretty good. So I guess that's gonna be the night then. So move.
No, I was just gonna say, get your time.
Did I forget something? Okay.
Time.
Good for you, yeah. Sorry?
If I could actually make a compliment, to the public works, I kind of just said to Steve, as a bus driver's standpoint for safety, I really have to commend the boys for the job that they have done on those back roads. Well done to them all, driving them. I drive a lot of territory and ours is the best. So kudos to the boys. Thank you.
That's great to hear. So if anybody didn't hear that out in the public though, it's Brandy, who's a bus driver, is basically complimenting the public works staff on how great of a job they've done, especially through the snowstorms. And that Friday, that was cold, and the wind that was blowing across, the roads were kept clear. So yeah, kudos on that for sure. And we did hear that, and on that, I mean, since we have some time, on a funny note, I was in a car accident a few weeks ago on a road that was not probably maintained at the standard that it should have been. I'm happy to say that I will not say which township it was in, but I will say that it was not in our township because I was very safe leaving our township. But then when I hit that icy road, and on that road, there was also, I was reported back more than 14 vehicles were in the ditch on that road in that morning, which was not in our township. So I think that's a kudos to make sure that on those tricky days on how well our roads are maintained for sure. So that's a good plug. And thank you, Randy, for pointing that out, especially from the bus driver point of view, because that is keeping our residents and kids and people safe. So on that happy note, moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Reeve Jennings, that the Committee of the Whole meeting of February 7th, 2023 now be adjourned at 7:16 p.m. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, everyone. Another great meeting.